Should children take a break between the grammar school and the independent school exams? This is a question that comes up every year, and it's one that I always feel a bit uncomfortable answering. Hi there, my name's Joycelyn Akufo. I am the Managing Director of Geek School Tutoring. A big welcome to you if you are new to the Geek School YouTube channel, and a big hello to our geekers out there who are very much part of the Geek School family here on YouTube and elsewhere. I run a tuition business, and sometimes with the best will in the world, you never want to sound like you are salesy or sales driven when you answer these questions, okay? And I'm not, if you know me well, I'm not the kind of person that sort of tries to ram my sales pitch down anyone's throat at all. I don't like being on the receiving end of that kind of treatment. And so, it just doesn't happen at Geek School. What I always try to do is to give honest and fact-based information. After the grammar school exams, and most of these grammar school selection tests finish in September. And so many parents want to wait until the results are out in October. And that's fair enough. Obviously it's quite a big build up to the grammar school exams, and tuition isn't free, really. I mean, obviously, there are lots of people who provide these video sessions on YouTube and so on, but at the end of the day, they're not interactive and they're not bespoke to your child. It's lovely to see so much resource of information, but most of the children preparing for the 11 plus need that guided effort in order to do well. It's more than just logging in to a computer-based system that teaches fractions or grammatical rules and so on. I believe that children need that interaction, so they're good for scaffolding your child's knowledge, but you need to do a lot more than that in order to get the results, really. You need human intervention because the children are so young. Many parents wonder whether they should just stop after the grammar school exams, wait for the results, and then if their child has been unsuccessful, let's say the child has passed, let's say the Kent test, but because they are out of borough and maybe their child isn't in the top 180 where they are assured of a grammar school place, that they consider taking a break, and if that is the outcome, then consider doing an independent school exam as a backup. One thing that I really want to stress very well is independent schools are not backups to any kind of grammar school at all. For one thing, the syllabus, the unofficial 11 plus syllabus, because there isn't one. The 11 plus isn't like the SATs, If you go to Kent, the content of their verbal reasoning paper is not the same as that of Bexley, for example. GL for Kent, SEM for Bexley, and as much as they both are robust and able to test your child's ability to be able to manage a grammar school environment, both tests really look for slightly different things. For the verbal reasoning, for example, you can't use a GL book to prepare a child for a SEM paper without some consideration of the SEM content, if that makes sense. And in saying that, the core content for the 11 plus is basically repeated for independent school exams. But here's the big difference. Most grammar schools just do one stage of exams, and some of them do stage 2. That stage 2 paper is comparable to the independent school exam format. So if we look at maybe St Olave's or the Sutton grammar schools, that have stage 1, and then which is a multiple choice, typical grammar school sort of process and format. Stage 2 is a written paper. Your child will have to show the working out for their maths for stage 2, just like they would for the independent school papers. And all the steps, are considered in the marking. Children start to lose a lot of knowledge when they take a break. It's like, I always use this example because I think parents can really sort of understand it when I give that example, and I'll give it here. So imagine you've just been sent on a training course for work and you went there on Monday last week, okay? So you've come out of the workshop maybe 4:35 or whatever. And, if anyone asks you what the workshop was about, you will have lots of information to share, and you'll be able to give very specific bits of information concerning what you've learnt in the workshop. By the next day, a lot of that detail would start to erode because you haven't used the information. You've been not necessarily a passive recipient, because there'll be workshops, there'll be discussions and so on. So obviously you're very much engaged in the workshop training. However, by the next day, your retentive knowledge would have declined. And over a period of time, that knowledge will continue to decline, not because as an adult, you're old and so on. Apologies for the Geek School phone number. Oh dear. Now, if you're calling us and you don't get me on the phone, you can see that sometimes I am genuinely busy trying to help the world with these YouTube recordings. And if you've been waiting for a video for a while, it's probably because I'm returning somebody else's call. But thankfully, we have a team that helped me to answer the phones now and set meetings and assessments in the diary so that I can basically be able to do a lot more during the day. So at some point, whoever that parent is calling this Monday, the 6th of September, when I'm recording this, I will get back to you as soon as possible. As I was saying, after your workshop on Monday, by Friday, generally a lot of that detail would have been lost unless you started applying it to work immediately. Okay, and somebody asks you about the workshop, you probably want to grab some of your notes just to be able to refresh your mind. Now imagine if you wait between first or second week of September until mid to the end of October, when the grammar school selection test results are released to parents, and then decide that you want your child to sit the independent school exams. For a lot of children, they forget so much. It's a mystery. You can actually align this with, the summer holidays, when children go back to school, if they've done no work whatsoever, even simple things like reading. If your child isn't reading every day, you would see that they start to slow their reading and stumble on words that they knew back in June, July time. All of a sudden in September, there are so many words that they're maybe having to sound and so on, or their reading pace has slowed down and so on. All of these things do start to have an impact. And so that loss of time starts to mean that your child is put under more pressure, because guess what happens when they do a paper in October? Parents then start to think that the children are either messing about, or they start to get very panicked because, hold on, my child was getting like high 90s in September. Why are they getting 62% now? Oh my goodness, it's the end of the world, and it's just unnecessary pressure on the child. Now, imagine if you're feeling like this, a child who hasn't done well in the grammar school exams is not going to feel more confident to sit the independent school exam. So we often get contacted by parents at first my child sat the Kent test, it didn't work. My child sat the Bexley test, it didn't work. So-and-so didn't get into St Olave's or Newstead. We're now trying for such and such independent school. Please help, please help, please help. They were so good before. I don't know what happened. I'm really scared. I'm really worried. And so on. You know, if I had a tenner for every call that I could get like that, I could easily not only go on holiday, but pay happily for all the COVID hotel and so on, and I wouldn't even flinch. That's how often it comes up. I personally don't think it's good to stop the tuition. At least wait for a month for the results to come out. At that point, you know exactly what's going on. You've put in so much already. 1 month, I don't want to sound rude or salesy, but for many parents, you've paid for the whole of year 5. Some have paid for since the beginning of year 4 or the middle of year 3. You've put so much investment in. I think waiting until the results are out in October is a better assurance. Now, if your child attends a tuition centre or online like we do, as well as having 2 venues in the southeast of England, then, that preparation will help them anyway. Remember that most children will be sitting the SATs in year 6. I say most because not all independent schools bother with the SATs. Many of them sit different end of year 6 exams. Some of them do the SATs for fun, I know, just so they can prove that all their children scored 100%. And why wouldn't they after the 11 plus preparation that they've undertaken? So that's basically how it works there. I don't think it's wise to stop the tuition. None of that learning is wasted, and it makes more sense to cancel it when you know that your child has performed well in the grammar schools and that they're in with a strong chance of being offered a place once you fill in the secondary application forms a bit later on in the year. So that's my genuine take on it. So do I think that children should stop having tuition in September after the grammar school selection test? My answer to that is no. So that's basically, the reason why. We still have a lot of students that stay with us even after their 11 plus exams, because parents want them to be really strong and stay at that top level for the grammar and independent school year 7 entry. And where it's possible, to me, that is an even better solution, because many of the grammar schools will put children in sets, in particular for maths. They will be doing this often in the first term or at some point in the academic year of year 7. Independent schools likewise. So it's really important that your child is put in a good set that's reflective of their ability, because often it can be quite difficult for a child to be moved again once the schools have made their mind up about who is in which set. They would need to literally work a miracle consistently over a long period of time, often more than a term. The schools generally don't want to move students from one set to the other unless there is a very, very strong case for doing so, i.e. a child is really struggling in the top set and they're just not getting it, so they're moved 1 or 2 sets down. Or a child is consistently doing exceptionally in their set, it's become too easy, they finish ahead of time, their testing results are high, consistently high, showing that they have far exceeded what's required of them in that set. And so there's obviously a case to move them. So that's the other consideration. But I would say at the very minimum, wait until October when the grammar school selection results are released, where you can make a more informed decision about what you will be doing and what needs to be done for your child in order to get them into a good grammar or a good independent school. So as usual, I hope that's been helpful. And just a reminder that Geek School not only has 2 venues, one in Beckenham, one in, I say Catford, but we're sort of on some sort of, I don't want to say peninsula because clearly we're not, but we're equidistant, I would say, from Hither Green to Catford, you know, and in a way Lewisham as well. SE13, that's the postcode. But we also provide online tuition. So, you know, if you are an ambassador or, you know, somebody who enjoys watching our YouTube channel and you wish that your child would get tutored by us, we are available online and we can support your child online. They have a live taught lesson. It's not a video recording, it's actual interactive lessons with homework and so on. So head over to the Geek School website, geekschool.co.uk, and, you know, have a look at what we offer, and by all means call us on 0208 0208 658 3239 should you wish to book your child for a face-to-face or an online assessment. That's everything for today, guys. Thank you so much for your time. If you have got this to the end of this video, I want to say a big well done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please remember to like the video so that YouTube will show it to more people, to comment. And if you haven't subscribed yet, come on, what are we waiting for? Join the family of geekers. And don't forget also to turn on your notifications so that YouTube will let you know when I release another video. Thank you ever so much and see you again soon. Bye.